All right, good evening. I will call to order the special meeting for February 14th for 2024, and we will start with the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Blackburn?
Present.
Ms. Fritsch?
Present.
Mr. Midgley?
Present.
Mr. Scholey?
Present.
Dr. Johnson?
Present.
Mr. Speakman?
Present.
All right, the first item on the agenda is citizens' agenda matters. If anyone has anything that they would like to address to council, please come up to the podium and state your name and address. All right, apparently we have no takers, so the next item on the agenda is the public hearing for the Frey Kane preliminary PRD application. This is a continuation of the public hearing that was opened last month. Can I get a motion to reopen the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Blackburn?
Favor.
Ms. Fritsch?
Favor.
Mr. Midgley?
Favor.
Mr. Scholey?
Favor.
Dr. Johnson?
Favor. All right, the applicant for this has requested an extension until next month, so they are not here to answer any questions. But if there is anyone present who does have any questions for township staff, we can try to answer them as best we can. However, I understand that the plans are in a state of change, so we may not be able to answer questions. All right. No one here for Frey Kane preliminary PRD application. Can I get a motion to continue the public hearing until next month?
So moved. Second.
Roll call.
Ms. Fritsch?
Favor.
Mr. Midgley?
Favor.
Mr. Scholey?
Favor.
Ms. Blackburn?
Favor.
Dr. Johnson?
Favor. Other business? All right, no other business at this time, so I will adjourn the special meeting and go directly into our agenda meeting. Moment to switch files. All right, first item on the agenda is administration. Item A, please.
Yeah, the project before you for consideration tonight is the rehabilitation, essentially, of the HVAC system that supports the police station, as well as there's a small lighting component to this project as well. The 2024 Capital Improvement Fund includes an allotment of $110,000 to begin financing this project in 2024. The Trinity Automated Solutions is proposing to complete this project through the CoStarz Cooperative Purchasing Program. Trinity recently completed this project is called Phase 2. Phase 1 is actually the replacement they did a few years ago at the rec center with replacement of the rooftop units and control systems at the rec center. J.R. Young and Kevin Conley of Trinity are in attendance tonight to discuss the scope of this project with you. J.R., I'll let you have the floor.
Good evening, everybody. So I'm J.R., Facilities Director. I have Trinity behind me. Actually, Kevin, like Ryan said, Rich is here as well, and the Daikin rep, Sean, he's here. So flash through this. There we go. Thank you. Like Ryan said, this is Phase 2 for the police station. So I'll continue on here.
You should just be able to click anywhere on the screen to advance it.
There we go. Okay, so we did the introduction, so I'll go continue on. This is the overview of Trinity, who they are. They're a strategic planning and design team, engineers, professionals, construction managers, BMS technology. This is kind of what they do as we continue on. They integrate, they structure outcomes, design, build process, and modeling. There it goes. So for the facility fitness building model efficiency and optimization, again, they do building automation systems, cloud-based analytics, integrated lighting solutions, which we included into here. And they also do vulnerability and risk and threat assessment. So really what we're after is just an HVAC modelization, building automation controls, and again, the lighting. So they are CoStar's provider and service. That's all their information there. Again, like I said, they did, and like Ryan said, they did a project, phase 1, back in 2000 for the community center. So it was under the same terms and conditions as this one would be. So the Hampton Police Station issues and needs, and Chief Vlahovic is here as well, the person that actually lives in the space, can relate to some of these matters. So during multiple site visits at the police station with members of Trinity and Daikin and their engineers, situations occurred that there are significant comfort issues present in the areas. Current RTUs are at or beyond their life expectancy. They're, from my reference, they're about 18 to 20 years old. There's constant volume airflow of each unit, so there's no variable frequency drives on the RTU units on the roof. So there's certain areas that the fans are just running at 100% currently, which is insufficient, difficult to have climate control within the building. Internal build-outs without accounting for mechanical infrastructure created some of these airflow problems, which creates noise in people's offices, specifically the chiefs, outside in some of the common areas, and like the locker rooms just don't have efficient control. So our scope of the work is to replace 5 rooftop air handler units with the new Daikin rooftop units. Currently there's about 5 or 6 at the community center. That was done back in 2000. With that, we would add 1 power distribution panel to accommodate the VAVs, which is a variable air volume box. That would have electric heat, so it would alleviate some of the one area being 72, 73 degrees, and then another area have to have the same temperature. It could be like 68, 67. There would be 5 Distech controls. Currently, there are Distech controls, which is Trinity. So that would be like an upgraded version to it, similar to what the community center has in now. 22 air volume boxes will be installed, and 22 zone thermostats would be installed as well. Right now, there is no variable air boxes within the whole building. Again, just to run through the benefits real quick, provides individual zone control technology, provides energy saving applications, and of course the state-of-the-art RTUs that have variable speed drives, and maintenance issues that will come along eventually, more significantly with units that are at or beyond their life expectancy. With that, the interior of the building, because of these VAV boxes that are being installed, the whole ceiling is going to be ripped out. There's ductwork that's involved with this project to make all this compatible. So with that, we have 2 alternates. One alternate is to replace all the fluorescent lamps, which is all T8s in that building, with LED retrofit kit. Alternate 2 was to replace all the fixtures with actually new lighting panels, similar lighting panels that you see in this room right now. My suggestion is to go with alternate 2, just because everything will be new, and again, you know, it's instead of retrofitting things that are old casings, it makes more sense from my background and within facilities. The benefits, to run through those real quick. Again, it provides energy efficiency because you're going from a T8 lamp to an LED, and longer useful life, and of course eliminates the labor costs associated with changing bulbs and valves. I'm not going to go into each one of this turnkey work description, but this is what Trinity has with their terms and conditions. It's all lined out. It'll be lined out within the terms and conditions as well. Again, scope development, no change orders, final engineering, demolition, and project management. On to our cost. The total turnkey price not to exceed price for the HVAC includes HVAC 5 units, the VAV boxes, the new ceiling is $988.5. Alternate 1 is $19.9. Alternate 2 is $28.1. And again, my recommendation would be to go with alternate 2. So our next steps is for Trinity to deliver a turnkey installation agreement. That would be upon approval after the next meeting, February meeting. I believe that's February 21st. Same terms.
28th.
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 Yeah.
Thank you. Same terms as Phase 1, as I related to before. Trinity will provide a schedule of values based upon agreed construction schedule. Hampton endorses the agreement at that time. Then we move into kickoff meetings and then commence construction. Anticipating construction to be right around midsummer for inside work. And then the RTUs would be like early fall. Again, these were talks with Trinity and Daikin that are behind me on lead times with equipment and inside and outside equipment. The longest lead time would be the Daikin units from our sources. Will lead to any questions?
JR.
So given all the equipment and everything, are the units will they really be available in that time frame?
Yes, yes, they will.
They're okay. The other thing, and Rob, we may want to take a look at, rather than the alternate 2, rather than, the approach that we're going to take is the loan over 10 years. I'm not sure that it makes sense for us to put that alternate 2 in a 10-year loan. We may want to split that out and take a look at how we can divide that out into capital.
Okay.
And see if we can just pay for that one on a shorter term
Okay.
and pay for the light or the HVAC on a longer term.
Okay. Yeah, and Rob Massini did reach out to First National Bank, our depository. They gave us a 10-year tax-free lease for the project, but so it would be $129,849. It's roughly $20,000 more than what we budgeted for this year. Future budgets, we could obviously account for that, but it would be an increase over our current budget for this project. We were hoping the Fed lowered interest rates maybe 0.25% at the last meeting and saved us a little bit of money, but that didn't happen, so unfortunately. I think we are going to see savings on other capital projects, as you will see tonight, though, so I think that makes this doable.
JR, you said starting this summer, fall, would it be done this year, or would it go into next year?
It would be done this year, correct?
And just layman's terms, alternate 1, I'm thinking of replacing light bulbs. Alternate 2 is replacing the whole fixture and the light bulb. Is that fair?
Yes, that is.
Okay, got it.
Alternate 1 would be the frame would be left up. They would just cut out the ballast, take out the bulbs, and then just put LED bulbs in.
How does this affect like day-to-day work for Chief and his staff?
That would be kind of our kickoff meeting.
Okay.
The goal is to have this signed in March, and then we would start a kickoff meeting, have their agreement signed in March, start our kickoff meetings well in advance before they would start like mid to late summer of internal work. So we have a plan with Chief and all the sergeants of what phases we're doing, and specifically with Trinity and Daikin as well.
And maybe last one, potentially, I don't know, crystal ball, if there were to get new office furniture, could this be done at the same time, or would you want to do at different times?
That's kind of my goal, to see how this all pans out. Depends on when his office furniture comes in, because I know that's on a capital expenditure, and I I've already talked to the chief about this. Of course, new ceiling is going in that area, and things that I would want to do to the floor. Just that would be an operating cost of, like maybe just clean, strip, relax, type of thing like that. So we're kind of trying to plan all this to see how it falls. Usually it does when I'm involved into it. So.
I mean, it just kind of it makes sense if I'm thinking about it, right? Not to do furniture first if that was done, because you're ripping stuff apart. You'd want it to fall or whatever, potentially break old furniture.
Yeah, and
Is
that's
that kind of the idea?
Chief and I have talked about
Yeah,
that
okay.
to see how this all lands out. Yeah. First of all, this getting approved.
Yep.
Second of all, the release for the funds for his furniture, and then I think we meet at that point.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
JR, why is your recommendation to go with the second alternative?
Because I just feel like retrofitting some fixtures, you have problems in the future with it. New fixtures are new fixtures. You have warranties with them. With retrofitting, you're just having the warranty on the bulb instead of the complete fixture.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, my opinion. Anybody else?
Can you talk a little bit about how we ended up with Trinity? So, they did phase one, I'm guessing,
Yes.
and did you kind of look at it, maybe another vendor just for a sanity check, as far as making sure scope was right, make sure cost was in line with what is out there?
Okay, no, I personally haven't. I've some background. I wasn't here for the 2000 at the community center. When Trinity was awarded that, it was awarded as a phase one. This was supposed to be a phase two with it.
Okay.
When the community center was being done. Now, my background with Trinity, I have worked with Trinity before. Before I came to Hampton, I had a project with them. So I do have, that reference with Trinity. There, I didn't do the same thing. Went with them. They had everything in line that we needed and wanted, more the needs than the wants. They're part of CoStars, so that helped.
Right.
When you go with another building automation control contractor, you're going with their equipment. So this is Trinity has a non-proprietary. Distech's non-proprietary. So yes, that can be pulled out. But are we willing, as Hampton, to pull out something that was just done 4 years ago? So that's kind of when I was brought in, that's what was related to me. So, and I felt comfortable with it. Like I said, I was doing no project with them, the past place I worked at.
So when they bid the phase one project, did they give any indication on the phase two cost or anything like that, or was that just kind of tabled till we got to the phase two?
I believe that was tabled from my references.
Yeah. And one point I would make to go off what JR said, I previously had some experience with bidding HVAC projects through competitive and getting a very proprietary building automation system. And it's not the upfront cost that's the problem. It's the fact that they're the only person who can come to repair it, and that's when they get you.
Oh yeah.
So that was a learning experience for me personally.
Not a pricey one, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Can I just add, JR?
Okay.
Why
Yeah.
don't you come on up so we can hear
Just
you?
a little bit of history just to help you out.
Yeah.
JR's new, because I have been here. But going back to the original community center project, that was competitively bid through his predecessor, Kevin Corus. And because we went down a design-build approach as your general contractor, even in this project, all the components of electrical, mechanical, even dike and equipment was bid internally, in terms of performance, price, or whatever before we built the final price. So there was what I would call a quasi-competitive bidding process even on this project. So if that helps you. Okay.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm just looking for a sanity check.
Sure.
I'm not disagreeing with the
No,
pricing
I
or
get
anything like
it.
that. Just
That's a good question.
yeah, thanks.
Yep.
Appreciate the insight.
Anybody else? All right, thank you very much.
Okay. I have
JR.
just
Wait,
one
JR,
other.
he's got
Oh,
one
no,
question.
that's okay for you.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
You're
Have a
dismissed.
seat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just to raise your awareness. So we have the community center going for another 6 years at $96,000 a year. This is going to be another $130,000 for 10 years. Those two items plus what you want to do for paving totally eliminates any other capital improvement unless you come up with other creative funding sources to do additional projects. So just to put that on your radar, it's not a reason for not doing it. It's just, now we have a history of being able to come up with additional monies, like the surplus last year, so we moved additional money into capital. Sometimes refinancing gives us some opportunities to have additional funding. So, but I just want to put it in front of you. It'll be more of a budget discussion time of year ongoing, but it really takes care of the capital tax will be consumed with those three items.
How much is what's left on the community center?
Pardon?
6 more years.
6 more years?
Yeah, 6 more.
Yeah, it was done in 2020.
Just one thing I wanted to add that it really hasn't.
Sorry, and you are?
Rich Fish. I'm with Trinity Automated
Okay, thank you.
Solutions, supporting JR. It's not easily quantifiable right now because of marketplace and timing, but you should expect to see some significant energy savings with these upgrades from an efficiency standpoint of the rooftops and the whole variable process versus constant process that you're living with now, as well as if you do these projects, there are rebates from your utility companies, both for the lighting and the HVAC upgrades that can, at the point of deciding, can be quantified so you know what you're looking at in reduced operating costs.
All right, thank you. So Jerry, how confident are you that we'll be able to continue with the other capital improvement projects that have been laid out in the 5-year plan?
That's a good question.
We'll have to study that.
All right.
I just had one last question. What is the lifespan of these new HVAC systems? The ones on the community center and then, of course, the ones that would be installed?
20 to 25 years.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, any other questions about item A? All right, item B, please.
Yes, the resolutions that were included with the agenda are to join 3 cooperative purchasing programs: Sourcewell, Omnia Partners, and the Keystone Purchasing Network. The Commonwealth's procurement code allows municipalities to participate in cooperative purchasing programs, with the interest being of streamlining the purchasing process and getting the best product or service for the best price. We already do this with CoStars, as we just discussed with Trinity, and the North Hills Cog Purchasing Alliance. Again, the basic concept is you're leveraging the buying power of multiple municipalities, or in the case of CoStars, the Department of General Services of the Commonwealth, to get the best product pricing. Cooperative purchasing programs, especially these 3, I think they also do a very good job of having qualitative measures for their contractors and their vendors. So as opposed to the traditional bidding process where sometimes it can be a real box of chocolates. The resolutions tonight would authorize the township to join 2 national cooperative purchasing programs: Sourcewell, which is through the state of Minnesota, Omnia Partners out of Tennessee, and another one it's more regional, in the Keystone Purchasing Network. That's actually out of the Central Susquehanna Intermediate Unit. So included with the agenda was a review by GTN, who had some questions about Omnia and the partners and their sort of process and how they're incorporated that I'm working to get answered. I'm confident that I'll get GTN to a place where they're comfortable. I've actually just got an email from the people at Omnia yesterday, so I'm going to be talking with Michelle and her staff. I can tell you on a professional level, I've worked with all 3 of these and have had very good success, especially as it relates to purchasing public works equipment and purchasing police equipment. So it costs us nothing to join any of them, and I think it opens up new venues and new markets and new vendors and contractors. So in terms of giving us the best opportunity to deliver services to our residents, I think it's a good idea. But that's my spiel.
Anyone have any questions?
Yes, so you said no cost to join.
Yes.
Is there any, I mean, risk is not a right word. Does joining this preclude the township from using something else?
No.
Okay.
No. They don't keep track and boot you out if you don't buy enough of their products or any other products through their programs or anything like that. So no.
All right, any other questions? All right, next item, please.
Yes, I was informed by GTN that the legal counsel they used on pension and pension law has actually finally retired. I believe you said, Michelle, that well, pretty much every community in Allegheny County used this individual. Yeah.
Yes.
So without anyone else in mind, and obviously in compliance with state law, GTN's advising us to advertise an RFP for this service. It, as I've mentioned, is a requirement under state law. The position is needed in case you need to consult. They keep track of changes to state law relative to pension benefits and pension just disbursements and contributions and what have you. And should we ever need to amend one of our pension plans as a result of a collective bargaining agreement, they're the ones who prepare the legal documentation in compliance with state law. I can tell you as a practical matter, there are very few firms that actually do this. I mean, I expect to only get maybe 2 responses to this RFP. I don't know.
I
Michelle?
put 3 out recently for municipalities because everyone used the same, and they've all received 1.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
All right.
And Michelle, I'll defer to you for any questions.
Anyone have any questions?
Is it a, so the demand is going to be very high for a very limited pool? I mean,
Sounds
within
like
the county, everybody's looking for the same thing right now.
once they realize, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Because Ryan was just talking to someone, and they're like,
Yep.
they referenced the old guy, like, why don't you go use Randy Rhodes? And Ryan said, well, he's the one that's retiring.
Yeah.
So but there is a very good firm that has people that specialize in the pension-related services. They are who have responded to my other RFPs. My people have been very comfortable, so.
Yeah, Michelle and I talked about this. I'm pretty sure the firm I know that's going to respond to this. I actually used them in the past to amend a pension plan at a previous employer, and I can speak very highly of their work. So, yeah.
I doubt it happens often, right?
It's
I mean,
rare.
often you're gonna.
It was that particular amendment was the employees wanted to put more money in. So, they want to do that, we'll amend the pension plan anytime.
And when the IRS comes out with new regs, they let all their clients know, like, hey,
Yeah.
amend your plan to reflect this, so it's nice.
All right, if there are no other questions, next item, please.
Jerry, I will not steal your thunder on this one. I will talk quickly. The township signed a 75-year lease for the cellular communications tower that's outside of this building with Crown Communications in January 1997. We currently receive a little less than $90,000 a year for this lease, but that amount goes up in 2027 to $107,000. That's the one thing about the lease. Every 5 years is a kicker. It goes up 20%. That's why the last 10 years of this lease nets the township like $4.4 million. We did receive 2 unsolicited offers from Unison Infrastructure and Everest Infrastructure Partners in the past few weeks to buy out the lease agreement with Crown. They had different structures to their offers, so I'm just going to tell you the highest ones for the sake of brevity. But the highest and best offer from Unison was $1,761,730 for a 30-year lease. It's one lump sum in that amount. Everest's best offer was $2.38 million over a 10-year payment plan. Given the value of the current lease and the fact that it's well above these offers, I would not recommend accepting either of them, and truthfully that we would have to do a bid process anyway for this. But having said that, given the value that they offered, I think we need to bring it to your attention. So, Jerry, I'll let you speak on this one.
You're doing fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
it's just, for those who are new, we basically acted on this 2 years ago. There was a proposal that was put forth in council at that time. Looked at the numbers, and in the short term, it's an attractive number, an attractive alternative for a short-term infusion of cash. Long term, the township is millions of dollars ahead, continuing with the agreement that we currently have. So recommendation at that time and at this time would be to continue that lease agreement.
My thoughts haven't changed since the last time an offer was placed before us. I don't believe that we should deprive future councils of that revenue source. Not with the offers that have been presented.
So is this offer better than the 2 years ago offer?
One of them is.
The 2 million, yeah.
The 2-1, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's wait another 2 years and see what that.
But since these were unsolicited offers, you actually don't have to act on this at the next meeting. If it's a consensus of council that you don't want to move forward with this, I can just let both these vendors know we will not be bidding this out or seeking proposals to sell the lease.
Sorry, to clarify that higher offer, 2.3, what our 2.2, that was not a lump sum upfront.
No, that's
That was
over
payable
10 years.
That's why it's higher.
$400-some thousand a year.
So-
Yeah.
Does anyone feel strongly that we should consider these offers? All right, there's your answer.
Very good.
Move along.
All right, next item.
Yeah, just want to authorize the annual strategic planning meeting. Dr. Johnson did a lot of legwork on this one, so thank you very much. But yeah, I'll be seeking a motion to advertise the council strategic planning meeting for Friday, April 26th. GTN will be hosting us at Vince's facility, so yeah.
I do think that there are a couple of council members deliberately trying to drive me insane over picking a date, but we have a date.
Yes.
Wasn't just you.
I was one of them, but not on purpose.
All right, anyone have any questions? All right, next item, please.
This is just an FYI. Consolidated Communications informed the Township of Hampton, as well as pretty much every other community in the North Hills COG that they serve, that they'll be discontinuing their cable television service as of March 26, 2024. As a practical matter for us, what this means is our cable franchise agreement, which would expire in October, is essentially, we will not be renegotiating it. It is a dead agreement. That amount that we got from Consolidated was about $15,000 annually to the township. I mean, the cable franchise fees are going down across the board everywhere every year as more people stream. So this is a declining source of revenue anyway, and in the case of Consolidated, a very small source.
Just out of curiosity, do we have an idea of how many people in the township use Consolidated and are going to be unhappy?
I do not. Susan told me a while back, I think Consolidated only comes to the northern portion of the township. They're north of McCullough. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Walnut
So,
North.
yeah. So, but it's a very small number of customers.
And we have been anticipating this and have factored that into the budget for the cable franchise fee.
All right, thank you. All right, anything else for administration?
No, that's all I have.
Public safety, please.
Okay, I'm going to ask that council approve the appointment of the roster for the fire police for the fire departments. And in discussion with Susan, I don't believe they're going to come to the council meeting. We're going to do that at the firehouse. But we need council's approval to be able to let us do that.
Anyone have any questions about this one? All right, next item, please, Chief.
Okay. At the last month's meeting, I brought the contract over for animal control services, which is used to take care of dog issues and some cat issues that we may have throughout the year. Before you have the most recent contract for 2024, and I'm asking or recommending the council approve this contract. We've worked with animal control services in the past, and we're very satisfied with their services.
And I assume aside from the increase in the price, there are no other changes to the contract.
There are not.
Anyone have any questions?
Was there a length of time for that price? I don't recall.
This is a one-year
Is
contract.
that good for 2 years?
This is a one-year contract.
Just a 1 year?
1 year.
Yeah.
Because they haven't increased from when we initially started using them, if I recall.
No, this contract, they've increased it by $50. It went from $450 to $500. So it went up by $50.
It's either been 2 or 3 years that we've had this.
I think it's been 2 years. Did
Yeah,
we
the
sign a
last
2-year
contract we had was a 2-year contract.
All right, any other questions? All right, next item, please.
So I would ask that council approve a capital expenditure request. 5 of my officers' ballistic carriers or ballistic vests will expire. They are good in 5-year cycles, and 5 of those officers I need to replace their vests this year. So I'm asking for the capital expenditure of $7,000 to replace those vests.
Chief, you actually missed items C and D.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. That I'm going to refer to our IT director.
Okay.
I apologize.
That's all right. Rich?
Good evening. Everybody hear me? I have 2 projects, capital projects for you tonight. The first one is the access control system that allows us with badges to enter the municipal and police building. I've given you proposals from D'Agostino Electronics to replace the access control components that we need to upgrade the system to work with our new Gentech system that currently operates all the cameras throughout the township. So that proposal was for $34,229. I added some contingency in there because sometimes we run into things that are just not noticed at the time, and asking with the contingency of $37,652, which is under the $40,000 that was budgeted for this in our capital improvement budget. The second item that I'd like to bring to your attention is the upgrades, or actually the relocation of the network rack in the Fights building. That is located in a very tight closet. It's very difficult to work with it, and it's really, there's not a lot of good air movement with that. We'd like to relocate it over into the utility room in that building. And that'll be moving some of the networking cables, as well as replacing some network cables in the building. Also moving the fiber connection and extending it over to that location. So the estimated cost from D'Agostino Electronics is $21,620. That is over what we had originally budgeted, which was $20,000. However, when you compare the two, it's still under the total budget of $60,000. And both projects are under CoStars. Does anybody have any questions?
It does not seem like it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All right, Chief, now we can talk about the ballistic vest replacement.
Because I was just so excited about those vests. I jumped the gun. So again, I have 5 officers that need their ballistic carriers, or the ballistic vests replaced. Every 5 years they expire, so I have to replace 5 of them. I'm asking for a capital budget expenditure of $7,000 to replace those vests.
Does anyone have any questions? All right. Next item.
Okay. We have generators that when we have a power outage, we are able to tie them into the poles out on Route 8 to power the traffic control signals that we have. It's a much safer way to do it, plus it takes manpower to go out and do those intersections when we have power outages. Based on the assessment from the generators that we currently have, some aren't working, some are unreliable, and we need to replace those generators. The cost of $16,000 for capital expenditure would replace 12 of those generators.
So the existing generators are essentially scrapped at this point. Is that your opinion?
I don't know when we actually purchased those, but they're old.
Okay.
So, yeah. And we've had them where we've taken them out to the traffic control signals and we can't get them running. Or they start and then they're off and we're
Yeah,
back
certainly
up.
problematic. I was just thinking if we purchase the new ones, if there was any resale value or any value in the old ones?
If there were, I would assume that we could put them on municipal.
Yes.
So even maybe for parts.
Chief, how many generators do you have in all?
Currently, right now,
Mhm.
I'm not exactly sure what we have over. They're stored over in the road garage. And the last time that we purchased them, I can't even tell you how old those generators are.
Okay, I was just wondering if we replace 12 this year, are we going to need to replace more next year and
No.
the year after and the year after?
No, we should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any other questions?
I just wanted to follow up on a comment earlier by Mr. Speakman. Didn't you say that our capital improvement budget was tapped for this year, given the road improvements and the HVAC systems?
No, that's starting next year.
Starting next year.
Right.
Okay, I misunderstood.
Jerry, just to verify, that is next year.
Yeah, right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
You look like you were thinking about it, so I just wanted to make sure.
No,
Thank
I
you.
did, you just didn't hear me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right,
really
any other-
take a lot of things off the agenda.
Any other questions?
Oh, we've got a lot more money to spend yet this
Well,
year.
that's why I was confused by your statement
Alright, so that's-
earlier this year. I was like, I thought we were doing pretty well, but.
If we do the HVAC system, we have zero money for next year to spend.
Until we
Right.
Well, until
find
we
other sources
look-
of,
Until we look closer, yes,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's,
We have to think on it.
it,
So spend money this year. Is that what you're saying,
Well-
Jerry?
as you know, we had one of our creative
Yeah.
opportunities
There you go.
with our bond money and the interest that we were earning. So we had a really nice influx to cover a lot of expenses this year. And it will provide a little bit of carryover ongoing into the
Okay.
next year.
Okay.
Just don't know exactly how much that's going to be and how it will totally affect things, but I will look at it closer in terms of the next 5 years, in terms of what you already have seen, yeah.
Okay.
all right, thank you.
We are a creative bunch.
Yes, yes, you are very creative. Next item.
Okay, the last one is the police department was built in 1991, and the squad room, which contains all the officers' cubicles, that furniture's been there since then, and it's not in the best of shape, and quite honestly, there's nothing more to say than it's just time to replace it. So for $30,000 in the capital expenditure, I'm asking for that so that we can replace those cubicles in the squad room.
All right, does anyone have any questions?
How many cubicles are there?
I'm sorry?
How many cubicles are there?
4, 6, 8, 10, and we will gain 2.
So is this part of the line item for the new furniture? Is this all of the new furniture that's on the capital improvement line item, or is this just a portion of it?
This is a portion of it that was under the police budget. There's
Yeah.
still some renovations in this building that amount to about $250,000. That's not included in this.
And so the recommendation is to phase it and not do all the furniture at once, but to do it incrementally, or?
JR and myself and Susan, we're all going to sit down and kind of look at this building, because it wasn't just furniture in here, it's also looking at how this space is utilized, and see if we can possibly do some interior renovations that help certain departments out. I'm thinking specifically planning, which is pretty tight, so, yeah. I mean, most likely, I think you would look at a very similar furniture contractor, because it's Tri-State Office, which is a CoStar's vendor. So,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
All right, any other questions? Chief, anything else?
That is all I have.
All right, thank you. Community services.
Good evening. The first item on the agenda is proposed resolution designating Lochner Way. As you are aware, in honor of Chris Lochner's 37 and a half years of community service to Hampton Township, the road in the community park was designated Lochner Way. The resolution just recognizes it has to be done by resolution. So we wanted to add it on after his February events.
Yep. And the signs are already up.
Yes.
So we kind of need to pass this resolution, and I believe he's going to be here for the next meeting.
He will
for
be at
that.
the 28th meeting, and the plaque on the community center for 3200 Lochner Way is already there as well.
Okay.
It'd
So-
be appreciated if you adopt the resolution.
Anyone have any questions?
I heard that the high school track team was debating, were those signs there before?
I can
Half of them
imagine.
said they weren't, half of them said, that's always been there.
Oh, I love it. I love it. All right. Item B, please.
The next item is the road resurfacing program. Bids are due on February 20th with possible award on February 28th. In discussions with our engineer Joe Seitz and our foreman, we kind of wanted to try a couple different applications this year to see if they do add longevity to the roads. In the first application, when you hear seal coat, you always think it's a seal coat over top of the roadway. Joe has seen some municipalities. What we're going to do is mill 2 inches of the top coat, add the seal coat layer underneath, then add the 1.5 inch top wearing coat. So by that, we're hoping to add like 5 years to the roads. Right now, when we do our seal coat programs, it's on the connector roads like Wyland Avenue, South Pioneer. They're longer roads, and due to expenses, it's kind of difficult to pave those roads. We did pave one plan as a seal coat, which was Mallard Landing, the townhome off of West Hardee's Road. Right when it was seal coated, I did get a number of complaints because of the loose stones and everything. So if this does work out, hopefully we'll be able to do this type of application in more developments. The second application is called a Fortifiber. It is a fiber mix that is mixed in with the asphalt to provide additional strength and reduce the cracking in the pavement. Our foreman and I did, as well as Joe Seitz, go up to Grove City and see one of the roads. What they do a lot of times, just so municipalities can check it out and see if there is a difference. They'll pave one road with regular asphalt and one lane with the Fortifiber, and when we went up there, you can definitely see a difference. There are some local municipalities that have used it for years, O'Hara, Pine Franklin Park, and they've used it for a while because I think it's Pine that they've already paved over the roads because it's been about 15 years at least for those roads. It all depends on where the bids come in. Ideally, what I would like to do is take the Tallycavey plan. There's Denby, Court, Pembroke, and Tallycavey. Try one of the applications on Denby, try the other application on Pembroke. And because Tallycavey, the base is not good at all, we'd like to do both applications on that roadway. So the roads are close together, so over the next few years, we can kind of compare both applications. And if we have more money in the budget, maybe add a couple more roads with the Fortifiber mix. Okay. Joe Seitz will be here at the February 28th meeting to give a better presentation on the Fortifiber or on the seal coat if you have any more questions.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're
Anyone have any
welcome.
questions now?
How many bidders are you expecting?
We typically get about 3 or 4. We've been using Shields. They've been winning the bids the last few years. So
And Shields
hopefully-
offers this fortified fiber asphalt.
They do. Joe's going to bring you. It's like a 1-pound bag that they started out with. You mix it in with about 1 ton of asphalt. Now they do have agreements where they do have the equipment at the plants, and Shields is one of them. I think they said Lindy they don't have it there, but yes, they do have agreements, and they do have the equipment at the plants that they
Okay.
can just add it in.
All right. Thanks.
Okay, you're welcome.
And you asked all the bidders to bid both ways.
Yes, it's considered as an option because they're all options right now. So
Thank you.
you're welcome.
All right. Next item.
These next two, I'm going to let either Ryan or
I'll handle
JR
the next
tackle.
one, and the one after that JR has, so. The 2024 Capital Improvement Fund includes an allotment of $400,000 to resurface our tennis courts. Gateway designed this project, and under it, we're actually going to take one tennis court, convert it into 3 pickleball courts. 2 other tennis courts can be striped for both tennis and pickleball, and the remaining 3 tennis courts will just remain as tennis courts. On January 25th, myself, Dr. Johnson, Joe Seitz from Gateway, Melanie Martino, and I met with Mike Gavlik from the school district and representatives from the Pickleball Association, or just the pickleball players, I should say. They had some minor comments, changes to the project, but nothing big in the scope of it. It just had to do with moving lines in one direction or another. So, but they were very supportive of the project. The previous time this was bid, the previous 2 times this was bid, the bids came in around $400,000, but one time it was over, it was closer to $420,000. But the low bidders in both cases were traditional asphalt pavers, like the companies that would bid on our road paving program. And I actually think that's part of the problem with the courts that exist now, is what happened was you got an asphalt paver, a road asphalt paver in there. This is a very specialized type of paving. Like if you look at the deck hockey courts and other things, those were done by McElroy Paving, I believe, which is Northern Athletic. They were a dedicated sports paver. They no longer exist now, unfortunately. So the proposal that I'm encouraging you to move forward with tonight, or on the 28th, would be to award the this contract to the Omnia Partners Cooperative Purchasing Program, assuming we join it, to Vasco Paving, which is one of those dedicated sports pavers, in an amount of $336,853. Gateway, myself, Melanie, we've talked with Vasco. Joe Seitz is very comfortable with their approach in terms of how they want to pave it and how they want to saw cut certain areas. And Mike Gavlik, I give him a lot of credit. He actually reached out to several school districts who've worked with Vasco in the past around us: Fox Chapel, Seneca Valley, and Trinity. They've all spoken highly of the work performed by Vasco. So that's sort of my recommendation. I think that's the best way to proceed with this project, personally. Mm-hmm.
And I know you're more focused on the paving. I just want to make sure that the single player board continues to be part of the tennis court rehabilitation project.
Yeah, I'm not aware of it going anywhere under
Okay, it's still included.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still included, and I don't remember if it was one of the pickleball players or the athletic director in the meeting specifically called out really liking that feature.
It was the pickleball player.
Okay.
It was the pickleball player.
And the law and the, it's good for Whitfield play, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
How long do they expect to take?
We're kind of at the tail end of them getting scheduled for this year. Realistically speaking, if this was awarded on the 28th, they have to mill it and pave it. Then the asphalt has to sit for 28 days. Then after that, they come back and they line it and stripe it and all of that. It's probably realistically speaking, they start in late July, early August. It's probably not playable until October.
Okay, so it'll be closed for,
Yeah.
for the season.
Yes.
And does Mike
He's aware.
appreciate that? No, that.
He understands.
I wouldn't say he appreciates it, but he understands.
By appreciate,
Yeah.
I mean,
That was a nice, it was a
I
nice
knew
choice
what
of
you
words.
meant.
He's been incredibly,
Understands.
He's been incredibly cooperative on this, and we've tried to keep him in the loop on everything we're doing. So he's been great.
Very good.
Thank
Do
you.
you want to throw some money our way?
Not that cooperative.
He's been very cooperative on this project.
All right, anyone have any questions about the pickleball and tennis court rehabilitation project? All right, next item, please. JR, I guess you're up again.
All right, this is the request for release of capital funds for the, these are actually 2 projects. They're bundled under one vendor, that is through CoStars, and that's for the basketball hoop repairs and the curtain dividers that are in the community center on the court. So just a tad bit background, last year, I believe there was approval for inspection and whatever repairs that were needed on the basketball hoops. Well, I was currently here when that inspection started. The repairs got so significant, the decision was made to just finish the inspection and get a quote to do a full-blown repair as well. The repair cost came in at about $38,000. There was a budget of $60,000, requesting $42,000, 10% contingency involved into that for that. The next item is the curtains. The curtains currently, they're as old as the building is, top 2005, 2004. They're starting to fray. They're about at their life expectancy. The plan with that is to replace those. There was a budget of $50,000 that was done prior to. It was done based on a proposal that was non-prime. So with using CoStars and using National Equipment and Facility Solutions, with CoStars they have to go on prime. So that being said, bundling these two projects to this one vendor made the most sense. Otherwise, we would have to bid out the curtain replacement, which is I think it was like $48,000 on a non-prime. So that would have to go out to bid, of course. So that I made the decision to get a proposal to have them both bundled, which gave that cost at right around $56,400 for replacing those curtains. Any questions?
JR, the hoops, it's a repair, not a replace.
It is a repair.
Oh, okay.
So in the supporting documents,
I was
there's
confused. I thought we were replacing, and I was like, they look pretty good.
Replacing the curtains.
No, the hoops.
And repairing the hoops. So,
yeah, okay, I'm good.
Okay,
that's a repair.
To go on that a little bit, a lot of the repair costs, there's the hoops go up and down, so those need replaced on a few of those. The winches that make the hoop go all the way up and all the way down, there's multiple ones those need replaced. There's also the framing. I believe like 2 of those were twisted. Some of those have been adjusted. There's a couple motors that need replaced to make the hoop go up and down from ceiling to regular play level. So there's multiple repairs that all should be in those supporting documents as well.
Yep.
Clarification on that.
And that makes sense. When I first saw it, I thought we were replacing, and I was like, those don't need replaced. I got you.
Yes.
The curtain, does it have to be green?
Doesn't have to be.
Okay.
There's multiple colors that could be chosen.
It looks like another school district in there sometimes.
I would go green just because the rest of the building kind of is already that color. So, paint wise, it matches. But no, we could definitely have a different color of that bottom portion.
The curtain project, was that budgeted?
Yes, it was.
What was our budget number on that?
50,000.
And you say the estimate is 56?
About 56.4.
Yeah, the two of those together is coming under.
Still
what was
under
budgeted.
budget
Yep.
when you add them together, right? Okay.
Correct. The hoop repairs I'm requesting 42 because of a 10% contingency, and it was budgeted at 60.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I mean, the green is kind of ugly.
Yeah, the green is kind of ugly. All right, so that's your task. Figure out what color will match the rest of the building and not be ugly green.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right, item E, please.
The next item on the agenda is authorization to advertise for the bids regarding the annual construction equipment and tradesman program. The contractors who were awarded these bids work with both Public Works and the Environmental Services Department on larger storm sewer and sanitary sewer projects. And the tradesman works with the Facilities Department for the electrical as well as larger building maintenance projects. The reason why we do this, it's a yearly contract so that we don't have to bid each individual larger contract. And we've worked with, usually there's 2 contractors who bid on it and are awarded because we've worked with them for a long time. And they know the township very well and good contractors. The bids are due on March 21st with possible award at your March 27th meeting. Any questions?
Doesn't seem so.
Sounds good. Thank you. The next items are 2 capital improvement budget requests. The first item is a paint sprayer. The current one is approximately 25 years old and it is in need of replacement. The 2024 capital improvement budget has allotted $25,000. However, through Sherwin-Williams and through the CoStars, The cost is $13,083 for the paint sprayer, as well as it's called bead paint, a special paint for it, and a couple other parts. And I'm requesting at the regular meeting authorization to purchase it at a not to exceed $14,000, just in case there's any other items along with the paint sprayer. The next item is a truck conveyor. We currently have 2 truck conveyors, and it's basically a conveyor that sits on the back of our Peterbilts, and it spreads material like asphalt and topsoil. Instead of our employees, they used to have to shovel them out of the trucks, so it does help on workers' comp claims, reducing the risk of back injuries. The one is approximately 25 years old as well and needs replaced. It is on CoStars from the company that we want to order it from, in total amount of $19,221, and I'm asking for authorization to purchase it not to exceed $20,000.
Anyone have any questions about either of these purchases?
Susan, that's for one? You said we have 2?
We have
Just
2,
replacing
we're just
one.
replacing the one. Yeah, the other one's not in as bad condition as this one.
So
How much-
Same age, sorry.
Oh,
It's
so
a
how much
little
life is
bit,
left on it?
It's not as old as this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, anything else?
That's all I have.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Environmental Services.
Thank you, Madam President. Requesting a public hearing regarding the proposed ordinance establishing the tap-in fee and connection charges for the sanitary sewer pursuant to the Municipal Authorities Act at our February 28th meeting.
Okay, the last time we talked about this, I believe the request was made to find out what surrounding townships and communities charge for the tap-in fees. Have you been able to get that information?
I have not
Yeah.
received anything directly.
We, with Rob Horvat, we got about a dozen other communities and sanitary authorities and what they charge for tap-in fees. I was going to include that. I'm waiting to hear back from 1 or 2 more.
Okay.
And we were going to include that with the agenda for the next meeting, so you'll have that information.
Okay, just looking at the ones that you've received so far, are the new tap-in fees fairly in line with what our neighbors are doing?
It's kind of all over the place. I can tell you there is one neighbor of ours that is actually at about $6,500. So, and their situation somewhat mirrors ours. Their treatment plant is under construction or just finishing up a rehab right now. So it's sort of all over the place. And I think the one point I will make is you have to keep in mind some of these other communities are in Alcosan. So while their tap-in fees might be lower, the rates they're paying are substantially higher. So I think it's a sort of a holistic look at it as well. And some of the other communities also have traffic impact fees. And while that doesn't affect sewage, we're getting to the question of impact fees is really the costs associated with a new home. And if you're not charging a traffic impact fee, you're only charging a sanitary impact fee. I think that's something you need to consider.
Sorry, are you saying that you think that we should?
Oh, no, I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I'm just saying look at impact fees in totality. Other
Okay.
communities nearby have a lower sewer impact fee, but they also have a traffic impact fee on top of that. So look at the totality of costs that a new home or a new development or a new business coming into your community. Look at it that way when assessing the cost of your sewer impact fee, which for some people might seem high, but
Okay.
like I said, it's a holistic look at it.
When you include the information in the packet, will you be including that type of
I
thing?
will absolutely be including
All right,
that
thank you.
information. Yes.
Anyone have any questions? All right, anything else? All right, zoning and planning.
Okay, thank you, Madam President. So the first item I have tonight is my recommendation that you adopt a resolution appointing Albert Cohan as the official emergency management coordinator for Hampton Township and Ryan Jarosky as the deputy EMC. So just to give a little bit of background, our current emergency management coordinator is a resident named Frank Hartle. He has served in that role for many years, and he's done a very good job from what I understand in that position. But I think, the world has changed a lot in the last 25 years. Emergency events are much more common than they used to be, whether it be a shooting or a chemical spill or a flooding event or a train derailment. These kind of things all could happen in Hampton, And I think that we don't really live in a world where we can responsibly be doing our part if we're just having our plan and it's in a binder on the shelf type of an approach. So you have those kind of societal changes that have taken place. And then additionally, in the last 2 years, the county has made some changes based on state law to require schools and childcare facilities to deliver a copy of their EOP to the township annually. So we get a copy that we hold on file. The emergency management coordinator receives a copy that they can, review and provide comments on if they would like. And since Mr. Cohan has been here, he serves as our fire marshal. He's kind of taken the lead of accepting those copies that we receive at the township level, and creating a filing system for those and corresponding with the applicants where needed. But from time to time, he has been receiving questions about the content and, what should we be doing for practices or drills or things like that. And those kind of questions are really outside of the scope of his job right now. And so you have all those things happening together. In my opinion, I think the time is kind of right to bring that position in-house. And compounding that, we are very fortunate in that we are positioned with someone who has the experience and the credentials to actually do the job and who's already a staff member. So on top of being our fire marshal, Mr. Cohan is the Deputy Emergency Management Coordinator for Indiana Township. He's done that for 10 years. 16 years working as an emergency dispatcher for 911 with Allegheny County. 25 years of firefighting experience with Middle Road Company in Indiana. And beyond that, he has very well-established and good relationships with all of the players that would be involved in an emergency response. So the Chief of Police, Eric Schmidt with Shaler Hampton EMS, the Hampton Fire Chief, Mike Pivison, the Allegheny County Fire Marshal, and virtually all of our police officers and firefighters in this township. So beyond all that, as his direct supervisor, I can say that his work ethic is beyond reproach. He's a very good team player. He understands when it's his role to speak from a position of authority and to take that kind of a stance. And so I have no hesitation with recommending him for this position. If council would agree, I would have a resolution prepared for your next meeting that would appoint him as the emergency management coordinator, Ryan as the deputy, and then we would move forward with making the proper notifications to Allegheny County. So some of the things that he would be doing in that role would be accepting those plans and providing input based on guidance from Allegheny County and GTN as to, cover our liabilities, but also to be able to give some common sense feedback to some of these groups, helping them perhaps schedule drills, practice events, things like that, simulations, and working with our fire departments, whether it be tabletop or in the field, to practice the plan and make sure that everyone understands what their role would be if and when something like that would actually happen. Creating a tracking layer so that when we get these private plans in, they can be made available to first responders in the field, and things such as that. So that would be my recommendation. He is here, and either him or myself, if you have any questions, we would be happy to answer.
Does anyone have any questions? Doesn't seem like it.
Okay.
He's not old enough to have done anything for 25 years.
Age is only a number here.
Al, thank you for being willing to take on that role.
Okay, so GTN is working on that resolution. I'll have that for your next packets.
All right.
The next item is Fry Cane. We already discussed that earlier. From what I understand, it is their intention to go back in front of EAC and Planning Commission in March. They were hemming and hawing a bit about when they would do their public hearing, so I think it's good to just do a month in case they're ready for the March meetings. Okay, and then the next item is the Four Seasons preliminary subdivision land development application. This is for a 14-lot straight subdivision in the residential B zoning district. It would be a redevelopment of an existing commercial property that is located in a residential area that formerly housed the Four Seasons banquet facility. And it would create a new road, Leonard Drive, which would access off of Hart Road, as opposed to Bank School, which is where the property currently exits and enters. So the applicant has requested 2 modifications from council. Just for a little bit of background, if there are items in the subdivision and land development ordinance that an applicant is requesting relief from, that's a modification that council decides on. If it's something in the zoning ordinance, that's a variance that the zoning hearing board decides on. So they've also requested 2 variances which were heard by the zoning hearing board at their January meeting, and I should have a decision on those at your next meeting as well. The variances were related to the front and side setbacks. The modifications are more to do with the roadway. So the first one has to do with the cul-de-sac length. Our saldo limits that at 800 feet. They're asking to have it be 950. Quite frankly, Township Council has granted many of those, and at lengths much longer than 950. The second one is a little bit more technical. It has to do with the curves on a road. So when you have a curve going one way and then a curve going another way, to prevent the road from being too windy, the saldo limits that to 100 feet between those reverse curves. They're asking for 47 feet. So those are the 2 modifications they're requesting. They're also asking to use something called slope averaging, which allows them to disturb certain areas of the property where the zoning ordinance would limit disturbance within those areas. So if you have grades that are between 15 and 25%, you can only do a limited amount of disturbance, and over 25%, you're supposed to do none. But it does allow for an applicant to take the average percent grading over the entire site, and if that is below a certain amount and council feels comfortable that there will be no environmental impacts, you can allow them to use that average grade in lieu of just limiting those areas entirely. So those are the types of requests that they are making. The EAC and Planning Commission both are recommending approval with conditions at this point. That's subject to them getting their modification requests, their variances, and clean engineering letters. We did receive revised plans last week. I don't have a full contingent of revised review letters for those. So I hope to have those for your next meeting, but right now that's kind of where we're at with this. So the applicant and his engineer are here, and I believe he has a presentation if you have questions and you would like to hear from them.
Yes, please.
Caleb, just let me know when you want me to scroll through.
Oh, I don't have control here?
Actually, you might. You can give it a whirl. Oh, yeah, never mind.
All right. Hi, my name is Caleb Tabon. I am the engineer for this project, which is the Four Seasons. As mentioned, the property is zoned RB. It is approximately 13 acres in size. It is shown here on the aerial. The red boundary on the west side is Hart Road. On the south of it is Bank School Road, which serves as the current access point for the property, which takes you back to the main building. Parking area on the south side of the road to the north is fields, which have been used for years for soccer practice and other fun activities. The remainder of the property is wooded. I guess that's approximately 4.8 acres, which is the bottom part. There's also Willow Run exists on the east end of the property, and that the floodplain associated with that, as it has been delineated by FEMA, is shown on the plan. There is also a wetland within that floodplain, which is shown on the plan as well in red. So this is the natural resources map that has been provided. The blue outlined area is the approximate limits of the existing development of the property. So that's approximately 8.2 acres, 63% of the site or so. The gray hatched area as shown are as referenced, the steep slopes and very steep slopes, which are 15 to 25% and 25% greater. As the site has been developed over the years, a portion of
those slopes were man-made. I believe that's approximately 30%. It's shown within the blue area. The red line is the limits of our proposed mass grading, as shown on the grading plan. Majority of our lot area, the cul-de-sac, are within the existing limits of the developed portions of the site. The stormwater basin and its access road are what push into the 25% greater slopes on the site. Now, looking over the township environmental land resources map, it notes that there is a potential for rockfall slopes on the property. So that brings up the question of what's rockfall. Rockfall are masses of newly detached bedrock that fall from cliffs, steep slopes, cave roofs, or rock arches. So that would necessitate you would need to have some exposed rock, and typically where you usually see this are on cut slopes adjacent to highways. You see these steep rock faces. There's a hard rock layer at the top, and then there's a soft rock layer below that, and over time the softer layers disintegrate either through weathering or erosion, and then you end up with a potential for the upper layers of that rock to fall. Very well known, some areas along 28 is what really pops into mind for things of that nature. The other area you usually see things of that nature would be along stream banks. On this particular site within the disturbed area, we don't have any exposed rock, no known locations. With our proposed stormwater basin, we're not proposing to create any exposed rock faces. Any areas that are disturbed would be vegetated in accordance with township standards, as well as DEP standards as part of that approval process. So with that taking that into account and not seeing any other adverse environmental impacts, we looked into doing slope averaging, which is the green line, as shown, which is the average slope through the disturbed area, works out to be 9%. This is the proposed layout for the site. We have our proposed access to Hart Road, comes back in, it's approximately 950 feet in length, 14 lot, single family detached. The blue area is the proposed stormwater basin. The green area on the far right is the proposed open space we are creating. We looked at a couple different options for our road access. Originally we had an access coming on this end of the property. Had it all laid out, worked beautifully, but unfortunately we didn't have sight distance as we are connecting to a PennDOT road. So we had to look into where on our site we had adequate sight distance, which pushed the entrance to the location shown. And then that necessitated that our road, we kept the remainder of the road the same, and then we added additional length. So that pushed us up into the 950 range. Now, as that driveway location changed, it also necessitated a change in the curvature of the road in order to accommodate that. So the first modification request was for the length of the road. The second modification request is for the distance between horizontal curves, which is this straight section right here. Code states it should be 100 feet with a curvature of 150 feet, but it also has allowances for cul-de-sac roads to have a reduced radius on cul-de-sac roads for that specific situation. In lieu of pursuing reduced radiuses, we are seeking to do to reduce that rate or that length down to 47 feet. I believe the reasoning for that would be you're entering into a plan for a cul-de-sac road. You should not be traveling at the design speed for that road. I believe that's the rationale as to why that would be in the ordinance to begin with, to allow for a reduced radius on that curvature. So those are the two modification requests and why we're doing it. And as another reason for the 47 feet, when we originally had the road laid out here, we only had one corner lot. This other lot was a conventional lot with a front, two sides, and a rear. With this change in road curvature, it drove this to be a corner lot with two fronts and a side. This one here turned into an odd-shaped lot with a front and then two sides based off of the way it's supposed to be laid out for the ordinance. What you run into in these sorts of situations is not having enough lot depth to adequately build a house on those lots. So that's why the road is what it is. If we were to change it to be 100 feet, be looking at something that would really flatten out the lots and make them a little bit less usable. So that just touches on the two modification requests and the two variances that we are seeking, what we just discussed. This is the proposed grading plan for the development. In red is the proposed storm sewer that runs along the proposed public right-of-way, takes it back to the stormwater basin for treatment prior to discharge to Willow Run. The blue line is the proposed sanitary sewer, which discharges into the existing sewer, which parallels and runs underneath Willow Run. As you can see, we're trying to keep the grading tight and not push out to the outer limits of the property, which you do typically see for a lot of developments. And then this is the proposed landscape plan. There is a well-established buffer as it on the northern end of the site up against Willow Run PRD. There's a nice buffer here as it exists, parallel to Hart Road, and as well as along the southern property against these single-family residential homes. We're proposing to keep as much of what we can on Hart Road. I mean, we do have to take out some for the trees, but we do intend to keep everything on the north and on the south. And then we want to do a majority of our replacement trees in the rear of the lots to help increase that buffer depth between us and the neighbors, in addition to putting the remainder in as street trees. So I don't know if there's any other questions or comments that I might be able to answer, but that's it in a nutshell.
If I'm understanding this correctly, your intention is to take down the majority of the forest that's along the road and replace it with open spaces. Is that correct?
Along the road? I mean,
Where your stormwater is. No, sorry, the other side.
Down here.
Yes. So right now that appears to be very wooded, and it looks like you're going to take down the woods for open space.
We're taking down some of the trees to put in a stormwater basin.
So you're not going to completely remove the trees from that section.
No, we intend to keep as much, we only want to disturb the trees as necessary. So we're looking to keep everything outside of this. I believe the easement that is required for the storm and sanitary, I think it's a 30-foot combined easement through here. So outside of that, and what's needed to construct the downslope of the basin, we want to keep, I mean, we can't go into the floodplain anyways. So we're looking to keep everything as it exists along here. I guess maybe let me go back one. You can kind of see the grading limits here. So if it's not in the grading limits, we don't intend to take it down.
Okay.
And then plenty of the 2-to-1 slopes or other slopes that we're creating, we're looking to put replacement trees on those slopes anyways.
All right. Amanda, I don't have any concerns with that first modification, but the second one, do you have any safety concerns? Because that's looking to cut the required distance in half.
I don't. We do have Bob Getz, our traffic engineer with Trans Associates here, who truthfully could probably speak to some of the safety implications better than myself. From what I understand, I understand the reasoning that you're coming into a cul-de-sac. It's not a throughway, so the speed should be reduced anyway. But I don't know, Bob, if you could give maybe some input on your thoughts for that modification specifically.
Well, we reviewed this plan, and I think it's an easy fix to get up to the 100-foot tangent between the curves. The angle, I don't know if I can point on this. So the angle of intersect of these two curves, all they need to do is just reduce that slightly. They can actually shorten the tangent as they approach Hart Road here. In other words, not stretch the curves out. They would maintain the radius, but what that does is that increases this tangent distance. And your ordinance is very common on reverse curves like this, requiring 100 feet between reverse curves. So I think it's a fairly easy fix. I think the lots remain the same size, and all the setbacks can still be maintained.
Okay, thank you. The only other question that I had is this subject to a public hearing?
It is not.
It is not. Okay. Anyone else?
Just curious, what's the anticipated market value of the homes that are going to be on these lots?
It'll be million one total with the lot price.
And sir, you are?
Frank Badia.
Okay, thank you.
I think you answered this question, Caleb, thanks. The red property line in between the townhomes, there's, I believe, lot of pine trees there. You said you're going to leave those?
The ones that exist on our property. I mean, as they were PRD, they were required to put in a buffer on their property.
Okay.
I know there are some on our property, we do intend to keep them, but there's already a pretty well established
Yep, okay.
buffer there.
One more, the 800 feet that was mentioned before, why 800 feet?
Honestly, that's been in our saldo, which has probably been in place for 25 years. I don't know the reasoning behind when that was originally put in, but as I said, I mean, I could name you half a dozen off the top of my head in the township that exceed that greatly.
Right, yeah, it's very common.
Hampton Place pops to mind,
Yeah.
2,500 feet.
Yeah.
You don't know anything about that, do you, Bob? Of why 800? Is that a standard for cul-de-sac length limit?
I've seen it all over the place. I've seen saldos where it's as much as 1,200. Yours is rather on the short side. I don't see an issue with this one.
Thank you.
Just real quick, so decreasing the distance between the curves, what safety issue does that create? Does it create the cars going too fast and not being able to make the curves?
Yeah,
Or does it force the cars to slow down to make those?
Yeah, the reason they do this on reverse curve, you understand what a reverse curve is,
Yep.
going one way. Okay, so it gives the motorist some time to react. These roads are normal crown, so they don't have super elevation like on PennDOT Road. So the reason they do it on PennDOT Road is so you run at the super elevation, you get back because you're super elevated in the opposite way.
Right, for the design
That's
of the
not
road
this.
itself.
The only reason you would have 100 feet between curves is just a little bit for driver reaction. They're coming out of a curve, they're not immediately going in another curve. So that's the 100
Yeah, and we would expect most of these residents on this road to know that's going to happen.
Up is it?
Can't you just reduce the speed limit?
Yeah, I don't think you can use speed limit as traffic calming like that. You know,
The distance of
you can
50
go
feet
like
between
25,
curves is also pretty
yeah.
common in a lot of surrounding municipalities as well. I will say that. Between reverse curves.
Are these, the mailboxes going to be in front of the residents or community, like in the front of the plan?
Coming this way.
It's
out.
proposed to be at the
It
entrance
will
of
be
the plan.
speeding.
So
Not
usually
coming
those
in.
master
Yeah,
dictates where
runway.
they'll be, and they want them as close
Yeah.
to the public road as
So it's-
possible because they just want to get in and get out.
Yep, so it's not individual in front of everybody's else.
I haven't been able to do one of those, and
Yeah, pretty much
long
all
time.
new developments have been cluster mailboxes for some time now.
And will there be a pull off or something like?
yeah, there's two parallel
to-
spaces
okay.
there.
Any other questions? And when are we expecting to get the decisions from the other committees?
Well, EAC and Planning Commission, you should have at your seats. Zoning Hearing Board, I will have the Tuesday right before your next meeting. So that's when they have their meeting and they'll give their decision then.
Okay, and that's on the two variances.
Yes, and
Okay.
then engineering, I'm hopeful at some point maybe next week I'll have those, but certainly before your next meeting.
All right, thank you. Anyone else have any questions? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, please. Nope. No next items in that. Do you have anything else
I
to
do
add?
not, unless anyone has questions for me.
Does not seem so. All right, other business.
I would just highlight the upcoming events, the Easter egg hunt, Community Cleanup Day, which I know several members of council will be at, and the Rain Barrel giveaway, which just went out advertised today on social media, and you already have some takers, so that's a great thing, Susan. So, yeah.
So, of course, the question for the Easter egg hunt is what weather are we going to have this year?
I don't know. I'm going to be on the Mediterranean coast in
that's
Spain.
right. You're not joining us for that
I'm
one
gonna
this
miss
year.
it this year, y'all. Sorry.
Are you going to be at cleanup day?
Really glad you're not rubbing that in.
All right. Does anyone have anything that they want to add for other business? All right, then we are going to adjourn to an executive session, during and after which no additional decisions will be made.